For more than a decade, there's been questions about why Justin Trudeau left the fancy Vancouver private school where he was teaching. He left mid-semester. That's very unusual for a teacher to leave mid-semester. But there may be a perfectly good explanation for it. Or, as the innuendo and gossip has it, maybe there's a terrible reason for it. Maybe he got a little bit handsy with a young student who experienced it differently. We simply don't know because he hasn't asked about it. But then in Parliament just a few weeks ago, Pierre Poilievre threw that back at Trudeau in quite a jab. Here, let's play the clip just to remind our viewers. Take a look at this.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I was a high school teacher before getting into politics, and I'm having a little trouble remembering what exactly the job that the Leader of the Opposition had before getting into politics. Mr. Speaker, we have a plan to fight climate change. We have a plan to continue to move forward on supporting Canadians with a grocery rebate, with a growing economy, with great middle-class jobs. We're delivering health care supports for Canadians from coast to coast to coast, delivering dental care that has helped 300,000 kids access dental care over the past number of months, including 1,100 in his own riding. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to be there for Canadians.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, and he left right in the middle of the semester, and I'm having trouble remembering why.
Oh!
Now, Mr. Speaker. He certainly wasn't a math teacher. He certainly was not a math teacher.
Now, that's a dramatic thing Pierre Poilievre said. He didn't provide the answer. He said, we don't know why Trudeau left midway. And there were gasps. And Andrew Coyne called Pierre Poilievre a thug. But not a single journalist said, maybe that's innuendo, maybe that's a kind of slur, or maybe there's something there. Nobody knows. I'm just going to ask Trudeau that question. And here he is, 8 years after becoming Prime Minister, and I don't think a single journalist has ever asked the Prime Minister, hey, by the way, why did you leave halfway through? And that's my point, Andrew. To vet the Prime Minister, to vet the candidate, Harper, Jason Kenney, Doug Ford, they've all been vetted, them, their family, their businesses, their history. But I don't think a single journalist in the parliamentary press gallery even asked in a friendly, let's clear the air kind of way, hey, Trudeau, why did you leave that girls' school? Even if the answer is it's none of your bloody business. No one asked, did they?
I'm not aware of anyone asking specifically. Now, I do know in 2019, Marika Walsh of the Globe and Mail asked Trudeau if he had ever signed an NDA for misconduct. And this was because at the time there was this trending, I'll say rumor, because there was never anything factual or evidentiary to support it, that there was an NDA or were NDAs between Justin Trudeau, and it was very nondescript. I know Warren Kinsella had stoked this in some way. And again, I'm no defender of Trudeau, but I have to be completely forthright in that I have never heard anything more concrete on this at all than simply the rumor. And all the rumors tend to trace back to sources that do not have any credibility. But again, I also think that the fact that he left midway through the semester is not a rumor. That's a matter of public record. And it wasn't until the 2019 election that West Point Grey, the school, had come out and actually given a comment saying, no, there was nothing to see here. And again, I don't know what loyalty, if any, exists between that school and Justin Trudeau, but the fact that he left has been subject of multiple conflicting explanations from Justin Trudeau himself. So I do not like the idea of suggesting a reason that does not have any basis, but it is a legitimate question to ask.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to it, by the way. I'm just trying to point out that a more carnivorous press gallery might inquire. And
if I can jump in there, Ezra, the media has started to turn on Justin Trudeau now.
After 8 years.
Only now.
Yeah.
Which meant that in 2015, when he was seeking election, there was no interest in vetting him. And even now, the media doesn't like Justin Trudeau, but I think they dislike Pierre Poilievre more because they dislike conservatives more. And if I can give you my theory on this, I do not believe it's fair to say that the media will never attack liberals. What I believe is that when the media attacks liberals, it's because they haven't lived up to the media's ideal of what a liberal is supposed to be. They're impugned because of their behavior. When the media attacks conservatives, it's because of their beliefs.
Right.
It's because of what they fundamentally believe. And that's an important distinction because the media wants a pure liberal. The media doesn't want any conservative.
Let me say one more thing. You mentioned that the media was not vetting Trudeau in 2015. We know that's true because remember when an American magazine published the photos of Trudeau in blackface?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, the CBC and Global News, immediately, and I mean within an hour, released their own photos, and in the case of Global News, their own video of Trudeau in blackface, which means they had it. They were sitting on it. For whatever reason, they did not show the world. It was only once they were scooped that they said, oh, well, I guess it's out there. We may as well get in on the action. You're telling me if they had a blackface photo of Stephen Harper or Danielle Smith or any conservative that they would have sat on it saying, oh, that's not newsworthy. He was only
the guy
20.
was elected in 2008. It took 11 years to find the first one, and it took 11 minutes to find the next three.
Yeah. And my point is that they're just more docile. And I don't know what the answer is, but, I showed this the other day. The first aggressive scrum against the Trudeau cabinet was when Marco Mendicino came out, and the hollering and the hooting. I haven't seen this since Stephen Harper was PM. Just a quick refresher. Take a look at this.
How is it? And we have questions. Come on.
Why didn't your staff tell you? What's the explanation?
How is it credible that all of the most senior staff who are paid for by taxpayers and government and the PCO and the Prime Minister's office and your office knew, but somehow you and the Prime Minister were only told after the fact? How is that in any way credible to the average person who goes to their job and does their job every day?
Okay, first of all, let's all take a breath. And I want to be responsive to your questions. What I said is that I would be coming down to take more questions in this afternoon. But
you said
what
that
I would say,
and then you didn't cut your office.
We waited for 5 hours for you yesterday.
Well, I'm here right now, and I will be here again. Absolument, tout à fait. But I agree with you that there is a challenge there, which is why we have taken steps to address that through corrective actions internally, as well as by making sure that the CSC works very closely with victims' families going forward.
Why didn't your staff tell you? Why did not?
Is it standard operating procedure at your office that you are kept in the dark? And will you let anyone go in response to the handling of this?
Of course not. And my job as the Minister of Public Safety is to make sure that we are identifying issues where there are challenges on information flow. And so what I have done in each and every one of these cases is to be responsive to those challenges by issuing ministerial directives to clarify so that we are strengthening our ability to get the information that we need. So that has been done certainly in the case of Bernardo through the issuing of a new ministerial directive. As far as internal matters, I've dealt with it.
What does that mean?
Why didn't your staff tell you? Why can you just answer, Minister?
And again, I think in this case, Andrew, they were more mad that Mendicino canceled on a scrum the night before. It wasn't the substance that made those reporters so angry. It said he broke a personal promise to them to answer questions the night before. I think, Donald Trump jokingly said, I could shoot someone in Fifth Avenue and, some people would defend me. Or he said something to that effect. And people hang that around his neck. That's actually how Trudeau lives. I mean, the way he skated from the sexual assault of Rose Knight, she experienced it differently woman, the way he skated on blackface, those are scandals that have undone much better men than him.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things with Donald Trump, whatever people think about him, is that at a certain point, so much was being thrown at him, it all became noise. And that has been the very thing that's happened to Justin Trudeau, where now he's been there long enough and we've already decided that as a society that we're okay to move on anything. I mean, how the Liberals managed to turn blackface into old news in Nothing Flat. I think it was Judy Scrow, the Liberal MP, that had given that great interview during the 2019 election in which she said black people should be flattered that he wanted to be like them. I mean, that is some brazen spin that the media let the Liberals get away with on Justin Trudeau.
That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.